Sure.
I might have done that on purpose.
It's better this way.
All
Yeah,
natural.
that's me. Now I know my reference.
No, I'm a white blob in the corner of the couch. That's all I see.
Do I look at you? Do I look at the camera?
No, you look at us.
What do
Ignore the laptop.
What
No.
do I do with my hands?
Why you got to start picking on me?
That's a reference. What was the Talladega Nights reference?
Is that from Talladega Nights?
is.
I haven't seen that movie. I know.
Jim-
I know. I should.
Like Katie, who hasn't seen Friends. I'm like, are you...
really good. I enjoyed it.
Like that midnight radio DJ, like the Love Doctor is in.
Dr. Johnny Fever?
Yes. From WKRP in Cincinnati. Oh my God.
Jeez. Referencing the
That means
70s
we
right
are
off the
old
bat.
people. Jesus, I guess we came in hot right now, and we just kind of establish our age here. So the old people are doing a podcast, guys. Yeah, we're live. We're recording.
Okay.
So I just started and kind of let it roll. Kind of like my influence, Rogan, which drives my daughter nuts every time I mention Rogan on her podcast. And it's kind of a joke now. She's fine with it, but when I first started, I was like, "Well, this is what Rogan does," and you know, I'm going to censor myself right there. I love you, Kristen. It's not a problem, but I also don't want to condescend to her listeners. So some of her potential audience may not be fans of Joe Rogan, I guess is what I was trying to say. So I had to learn to stop doing it. So, all right. So full truth here. Have either of you guys actually listened to any part of any of, and I'm only 10 episodes in, have you heard any of them?
Yes.
Jason?
She plays them for me.
I made him listen to the one with you and Kristen and Alex because I was like,
God.
This is amazing.
That one, that's right, because you text me as you guys were listening
No,
to
as
it.
I was listening to it.
Oh,
He
I
was
thought
out
you
of
both
town.
were.
No.
But you were freaking out. You're like, oh my God, you are talking about sexual positions with your daughter.
I know. I'm like, are you okay? This is when she started her sober curious journey. I'm like, was it
Right.
after this? Was it because of this?
It was. Her and Alex had, I think, went out to dinner and maybe had a few drinks by the time they showed up. So they were already like rolling when they got there.
Well, socially lubed.
Yes. Well, at the end of it, Alex was like cursive speaking, and I was
I
like,
know.
oh wow,
I know.
they are lit up.
Yes.
So
Well, and I fed them a few drinks while they were there.
not you.
Yeah, no, me. I'm not a pusher. But
No,
anyway, I just wanted to make sure, because this is what's been happening through all 10 episodes of it. Sometimes, if necessary, I give a synopsis. But do you guys kind of understand what the theory of the podcast was and why I'm doing it?
I do.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Did you? Because the first one I did was with Linda.
Love that
so
one.
I've heard nothing but great things about that.
Okay.
And she's got
Dude, she had some
stories.
stories.
Yeah.
She does.
And the funny thing was, Pam was out of town. I think she was over at the lake with Ann. The reason she wasn't there that night. So there was a random Thursday or Friday, one of my days off, that I was just at the house, had nothing to do. Pam's gone. And I just got inspired. I was like, I could do this. And then I just
Grant,
went,
come on in.
I knocked on Linda's door, and I'm like, do you want to be my first guest? And she's like, sure. So we just went in and did it, man. It was so awesome and impromptu. And she had some great stories, and I love how open and honest she was about it. And I learned a lot about her, even stuff I didn't already know. But I almost think it was perfect that she was the first guest, because I'll sum it up. The inspiration was, it's called For Our Loved Ones. The theory is to just talk to people, hear their stories, hear where they came from, who they grew up with, their family, their friends, people that were important to them in their lives, people that have made a difference, and just their experiences. I just love hearing people's stories because they're all unique and they're all interesting to me. And then
It's going to be a short podcast.
Speak for yourself.
so I already knew this was going to happen, that Jason is going to be all night with the punchlines.
Yeah.
I don't have
But-
interesting stories, though.
Yeah, you are so friggin' lying. Yes, you
are
do.
lying.
Oh, and by the way, you can cuss. That's fine. We're not edited here. But no,
Poop. I was just
you can say poop. It's like Tourette's, just poop.
Oh, he does love the TikToks where people have Tourette's and they go on and record themselves. He just laughs. He's like, is that okay? He's like, that's where they post them.
But can you tell if they're acting or they
Yeah,
really have
no,
Tourette's? A lot are probably fake.
There's just one
Gal.
gal, I can't remember her name. Somebody else I know too, though, they were following her as well too. And she goes on all the time and she talks about her tics, and she talks actually about how people have challenged her for that very thing.
But
Like
it
you're
seems
faking
real.
it. But I mean, I guess you just have to believe it, right? Because who knows?
Well,
I mean,
I feel like your spidey senses would go off. And if you watch enough of her videos, I mean, at some point, if she's faking it, she's going to break character, right? You would think. So she's
Yeah.
probably real.
We've sadly had with just social media, I think you've lost faith in a lot of people because everybody's trying to get attention.
Yes.
And that's the sad part. You don't know who's faking it,
Right.
who's trying to get attention. And
Yep.
this poor gal probably truly has it and is just trying to bring attention to it. And
Which is a beautiful thing. Yeah. And she's also
You're
trying
being
to
yourself.
she's trying to normalize it
Yeah.
so that the people that also have it don't have to feel so awkward.
right.
I mean, I
yeah.
think that's
she
what
does.
she's
She tries to explain,
Yeah.
you know, why things and what calms her and what
Yeah.
sets her off. And
The
I
one
don't know.
I saw was she was sick, and she said, when I get sick, it gets really bad. And she was sitting there trying to eat.
Like if she catches a cold or something?
Yeah, and
Okay.
she was trying to eat ice cream, and she was just like,
Just
she was all
shaking
over the place,
and-
swearing, dropping all sorts of words, and it was like, boy, to have to live like that and just not have any control it's got to be hard, and to be in public and people not know, like that's what it is, and
Yeah.
think you're maybe crazy, and you just have a assume it's a neurological issue. It was.
I think it is.
Yeah, it seems like it would be.
It's got to be a nervous system issue
Yeah.
and neurological. Like they're all connected,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
obviously. But that's actually a great way to connect. So I'll kind of finish what I'm saying is this podcast. My theory was, and also by watching things like that, the reason I love to hear people's stories is it makes me relatable to them, and I learn things that I have never gone through in my life, and then I can understand people in a broader sense. It makes me more empathetic and sympathetic. Because just like you said, if somebody sees that person in public and they have no idea what Tourette's is or what causes it, they just are going to give them the awkward, uncomfortable look. Whereas if you sit down and not even sit down and talk with that person, but if you actually just open your mind and be open to learning new things, it makes you a better overall person, I think. Again, short
I
story.
approach people with the glasses half full, right? I'm very open
Yeah.
until you show me that I can't trust you.
Yes.
I'm a very trusting person to begin with.
Which I think is a good thing. I think that's a
I'm
good
not.
quality. Well, you
got a yin
you
and a
trusted me
yang.
from the first time I met you at Jason's the house before this. The first time we met in that kitchen, you trusted me, so that was a mistake. How bad judgment.
I was drinking. I think that was the time. Was that the first time I was meeting Pam? Was that night, and we both had to.
No, I think you'd met Pam before.
Okay.
But that was the first time you were going to meet me.
Okay. Because the first time I was meeting Pam at the house, it was one of the kids' events.
Birthday party or something, or
Haley's
graduation party or
Yeah,
something.
I don't know what it was, but we tapped out. You tapped out first for a nap, and then I tapped out for a nap, and then. Or I tapped out first and then you tapped out second. So I remember going to Costco and we got the giant Costco bottle of wine, and I think I downed half that before she even got there.
I mean,
was like,
best bang for the buck. Talk about the value of that.
man, oh man, that was a night. So
Look, it might not, get 96 in Wine Spectator, but it's a decent wine.
it got the job done. And Jason took one of his naps, and then I was down. I took a nap for a little bit, and then I woke up and Jason took a nap.
Power napped.
Power napped. And then that's when we
Back
were
at
sitting
it.
around the fire. That was a different night. So we were sitting around the
No,
fire. that one
everything
night.
you're saying, I remember that night. But
But I
you
don't
had, I know you had met Pam before I met
yeah.
you, but I don't remember what occasion it was. It was probably one of the kids. It might have been something with dance team because Haley was still doing that. Maybe even Alex.
No, it was LeBlay's Christmas party. Pretty sure.
Well, that was the first time I met you, Jason.
Oh, that was the
yes,
first
I
time.
met you
That's
in the
right.
LeBlay's kitchen at their old house.
Yes.
That was the first time I met you, but I'm 100% sure that you met Pam before I met you.
Okay.
So We
I have
don't
a
have to go
horrible
down the
memory.
rabbit hole, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I have a horrible memory, so that's-
well, so do I. I'm 51 years old. Oh my God. Gwen is a spry young 35. She can now run for
51.
president.
shush.
Gwen had a birthday
And
pretty
my
recently.
gift from you is sitting. We got a stand for it, and it's now sitting in the back room here on display.
My what? What?
The gift that you got for me,
Well, your-
the
guitar.
refurbished guitar.
Oh,
Put it
that's
on a
right.
stand and
Yeah.
it's sitting up in the
So
back
that
room.
is so funny because as I was scrambling to pack my stuff up tonight because I didn't know we were doing this tonight because Gwen never responded and
You
confirmed
were
in the
right,
text
Ken,
message.
You were right. Does that give you your
Yes,
pat
just-
on the back you need?
I just want that one time in my 51 years on the planet that I was right one time. Thank you.
I think this is all leading down the path of we should get the guitar so Ken can
No. What I
Sing
was
us
gonna
a
say
song.
is I did as I'm packing all my gear up, my mixer, my laptop bag, and all the mic stands. I'm like, I glanced at my guitar and I'm like, wait, Gwen's got one there. I don't have to bring that. The one place I don't have to bring my guitar because you have one.
We will end in song.
No, we won't.
I feel like that if you're going to have your own podcast, you should have an entry song, like a
No,
starting song.
never doing that. That's overproduced. That's not my thing. I want to start the conversation. We talk.
Maybe it's like bell bottoms. It's coming back.
Bell bottoms and Volkswagen Beetles should never come back. There's a reason they went out of style.
I don't know, man.
Nah, I agree to disagree. Intelligent minds can disagree.
Well, we have a guitar here, so when you're ready.
That's not going to happen.
I have a nice tuned guitar
and
in this
you-
house, and not a single fucking person knows how to play it. But it looks really good.
Gee,
my
that's
God.
pretty.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's awesome.
Every now and then I'll just touch string.
What I will do is if you want, like once every 2 weeks, I'll come over and tune it just so that when you walk by it and want to strum it, it's in
And then
tune.
Well, it's funny because it's not funny, but it's funny because my first husband, his name was Jason. So
I feel like you've told me that before,
Yes.
but I guess I forgot.
So
Okay.
my mom used to call the first one J1 or Bad Jason, and then TOJ, the other Jason,
Yes.
was TOJ. So then he was
T.O.
The other Jason.
T-
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I missed the acronym.
Sorry.
Okay.
So when you brought this over, he's like, I love this. He's like, I wish I knew how to play guitar. I'm like, didn't I get you guitar lessons? Wrong Jason. I'm like, oh, sorry.
It's okay. That happened. I'm not going to admit to anything, but I think there might have been a random, like, I was talking about some stand-up comedy special back like 11 years ago when I first met Pam. Or no, it was obviously when I was living with my roommate in Gresham. I think it was before. Obviously, it was before I met Pam. But I was talking about, oh, you remember we watched that stand-up special? And she's like, yeah, I have no memory of this. And she's like, that was with some other girl. It's like, damn.
I have to stop occasionally and go, wait, nope, wrong one. So yeah,
Wrong Jason.
wrong Jason. But
But instead of TOJ, it should just be TJ, the
it is
Jason.
now. It was because
capital THE, the Jason.
we met at the worst possible time, probably in both of our lives, in a hotel bar.
Or it could have been the best possible time,
Yeah,
depending on your perspective, obviously.
I guess.
Yeah.
But I had just found out I was getting divorced. Just found out as we're married, he got somebody else pregnant. So she's pregnant.
The other, not him, the other
Correct,
Jason.
the
right.
other Jason. So I'm now on a work trip, and you know how everybody goes around the room and says, "Hey, where are you from?" How long have you been
Icebreaker?
with the company, yeah, the icebreaker
Right.
piece of it. And so I happened to say, "Oh, I'm from Seattle, live in Minnesota," and everybody went around the room, and then the managers went out to dinner, and then all the supervisors were down at the hotel bar, and all the managers came back, and he mingled into the bar, and so he just came up and he's like, how did you make it from Seattle to Minnesota? I said, oh, well, here's a funny story. And I started telling him the story. So fast forward, all these years, about two.
Let's not just skip past that part. The
Oh,
story
feel free to
starts-
insert some information
the story
here.
starts off with, well, my husband left me.
I don't think I came out of the gate with that. I said, well,
Okay.
This is the best. This is why I don't script this shit. I just want to hear it.
so anywho, yeah, we met there and we started talking. He's like, "Oh, I'm getting a divorce too." I'm like, "Oh, interesting." So next
in
day,
the finest Hilton bar that Oklahoma City has to offer.
Right.
Which I'm sure it
Oklahoma.
is 5-star.
yeah, it wasn't horrible. But all my two girlfriends that I was there with, we were both all supervisors, and they're like, "He's cute. You should like go out with him."
Oh,
I'm like,
did you all work in the Minnesota office with these girlfriends that were there with you?
So
Okay.
I worked in Minnesota at the time and lived in Minnesota.
Okay.
And,
But you went with 2 other coworkers that
I
were
was
also,
there with all the supervisors.
and they were also friends.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we're sitting at the bar talking, and we're just talking about what I'm going to do next because I'm, just found all this information out, and we're talking, and then he comes up to talk, and and he walks away, and they're like, "Oh, he's cute. You should talk to him."
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Jason he's pretty freaking cute.
They checked me out when I was there.
Yes, they were.
Literally,
They checked you out coming and going, man.
Yeah, I go literally. I'm 2 weeks from finding out I'm getting divorced, and I'm a basket case. Best diet ever. I lost 40 pounds. In 2 months. It was the best.
Yeah, stress is good for that.
It is. So he met me when I was fairly thin and cute, and
Oh my God, stop it.
but no. Then the next day he's like, "Hey, could I get your number so I can check in on you, make sure you're okay?" And
That was very sweet.
yeah, and I'm like you can message me through our system at work, but the girls are like, seriously? So we just became friends, and I'm like, one, I would never date you because you're still married, and I'm opposed to that, and two, I'm not going to be a rebound, and I live in another state. I have nothing. Like, no. I go, we'll be friends, and so we were friends. Nobody believed us. We were friends, and
I'm on camera gonna say because when you guys first met, I was hearing I was kind of just with Pam, and I was hearing bits of information from her, but no, I believe the way that Pam told the story. I believe that you guys were just friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was at least 1 or 2 people that believed your story.
Yeah, a lot of people did not believe it.
I know.
I'm
Know.
Like, you're going to Vegas with him? I'm like, our very first travel trip was to Vegas, and then, it was a rough trip. We ordered a lot of room service, had 3 bites of it, and passed out. That's how drunk we were. Like, it was bad. I mean, we were very close friends. We weren't having sex. Like, people were like, no, we are not. We are not doing this. So we had fun.
And that's actually possible, especially you were in your 40s when this happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was still.
Well,
in my
You were
30s.
actually like 39, or yeah, okay.
Because I came home. Yeah, I came home and I turned 40. So
Right.
2012 is when I.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's something that a lot of younger people can't relate to. You can actually, when you get older, you can have those kind of relationships. You can actually get to know somebody without hooking up.
Yeah.
And a lot of younger people don't get that yet,
And I was trying to teach him how to date, and it killed me because I was like, seriously, I'm like,
right, because he never had to learn.
No, he didn't. And so he would tell me about.
I'm sorry, this is not fair to Jason, but
figure out my dating app
This-
and create my profile.
because I also maybe it's a bad joke, but I know enough about you that you and Pam met in high school, so it's like you never actually had to date.
Not an adult life.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
that's
not
what I
adult
mean.
Dating.
That is what I
No.
mean. In adult
Right,
life, you
yeah.
never had to do it. So that's so funny
Adult
that
dating's
Gwen had
fucking bullshit.
Gwen had to teach you how to
It is.
date.
It is stupid.
And he was.
Sucks.
They all had names. Basketball mom. What was
my
the gal you
God.
met at the airport? LAX.
LAX.
He met LAX and basketball mom, and
Oh,
there
that-
was one other.
Those all sound promising.
Yeah. And
No.
The LAX, so totally random, at the LA airport, at the bar, waiting for a flight back to Portland, and we were both waiting, and we started just chatting. Turns out she had a daughter same age as Alex and Haley, right around there.
Yeah.
Her daughter was on the dance team at Skyview. Yeah, Skyview?
Skyview.
in Vancouver.
Oh, there's a Skyview High School here?
Yeah.
I should probably know that, but I don't remember that one.
why would
Okay.
you need to know that?
Oh, because I've been here for 9 years. Sorry, I shouldn't know
No.
it. Okay. I know, Fort Vancouver, and I know, obviously, Union, and I know Evergreen, and I didn't know there was a Skyview. Okay.
It's not up in the sky. Just so I don't want you to.
But
you don't
this
know
was
about
in
it.
the LAX airport, and her daughter went to Skyview.
Yeah.
They're traveling home. So
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it was awkward, and I would just be fuming. I'm like, I hope that date goes like just sucks. I just hope it sucks.
But what is so cool about that is you were actually trying to help him learn how to date,
Yeah.
but at the same time you're like, you fucking idiot.
He had to go through it and experience it to know,
Yeah.
because who wants to be a rebound? Like, and then, he
Right.
needs to know what he needs to learn. And I dated way too much, and it was absolutely horrible. It scarred me for life. I'm still like, he gets to deal with the scars of bad relationships with me. Like,
Well, but we
he's-
all do.
Yeah.
I
But
mean, yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he has many scars. The only funny story, and Pam might appreciate this one, but he came to Minnesota to visit, and this is when, just kind of off the heels of your big weight loss thing, maybe. I don't know the time frame of it, but we were both pretty thin at the time. You were toned and had abs and whatnot, and we were
Like unlike today.
No, I've seen the photos. You were hot, Jason.
you're hot, honey.
You're still
Your
hot.
muscles, your arm muscles. Anyway, so we came to the kitchen, and I had an island, much like, kind of like this one. And
Right.
I'm like, hey, what do you want to eat? And I start just pulling stuff out of the fridge, like just covered the island with food, all sorts of food. And he just looked, and he's like, my wife would never let me do this.
Not
But
to
isn't that-
say that?
No,
but
no, that is pretty much any married man could say that about any subject.
Yeah, right. True fact.
Because most of the time, not always, but most of the time they're right. When they say you shouldn't do that. I don't want to say 90%, 85% of the time the wives are probably right when they say you shouldn't do that. So it's okay, own it. That's fine. And I think, yeah, Pam will laugh her ass off about that.
I thought it was funny. I'm like, you can't eat? He's like, no, just not this type of stuff. Just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and I stalker Gwen, because I can find out anything. People joke about it that I can find out anything. It's like, yeah, because I've had a lot of bad relationships, and if I need to find stuff out, I
my
can do
God.
it pretty darn fast.
I am going to keep an eye on the clock only because I know Jason has to go to bed.
Jesus.
And again-
then just add to the podcast how fucking old I am.
That is not about it. It's because he works remotely, but most of
He
his
had dinner at 5.
Oh, here we go. He's not
and
going to let me finish the sentence. So
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
most of his clients and coworkers are on the East Coast, so he has to wake up like at 5 a.m. to do his meetings. So I'm being considerate.
He'll tell you when he's tapping out.
But it's
He's
not about
rolling
that.
on
I'll
himself.
just get
There-
up and leave.
There
Don't
is
you
a lot
worry,
of
man.
there's a lot of
Just
good
keep going.
there's a lot of good content here that I want to get into. So again, it is because you guys both just started going off, which was amazing. I love how that happened. But let me finish what it was about. I wanted to document stuff. I want to interview people, hear their backstories, because like my mom, her mother was born like in 1908 and passed in the 90s. So can you imagine what she has seen in her life? All the things that happened. And my mom in the 90s was like, God, I wish I would have recorded her so that everybody, the generations after that, could hear it. And then my mom passed last year, and that was the impetus. I was like, God, I wish I would have recorded her. And now we have this great technology where it's so easy. All you need is a laptop and some mics, and you can record and save people telling their stories. And that way the generations after can listen to the person tell their own story instead of reading it in a book or written form. That was the whole point of the podcast.
I saw a TikTok. When I say now, I read somewhere.
I read
it means
somewhere.
it means I saw it on TikTok.
You don't have to admit that on air.
Well, it's okay. People know I live on TikTok. That's my love. He's right. It's my love. I send you TikToks.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
Look at this. Look at this. But there was one I
sent
saw.
you a very loving TikTok this morning.
You did. It was amazing. It was an amazing TikTok. I sent you lots of hearts and kisses. For
See,
it.
the husbands can be taught.
Oh yes. But there was one about things to ask your mom before she dies, and I'm like, seriously. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I would have liked to known that. That would have been good too. Oh, that was Like, where
Yeah.
was this a couple years ago?
Right. I mean, seriously, and it's been around for a while, but now, I'm like, and I have no regrets. I mean, it's fine, but I feel like I'm almost carrying on her idea and legacy. So, and the only reason I was looking at the clock is because I do want to hear both of your stories. Gwen, you were born in Minnesota?
No.
Okay, so that's where your family's at, or that's just where you were working for.
Minnesota was a
No,
stop.
God, never mind. Stop. This is the part I'm gonna edit out because I know this. You went to
keep guessing.
Redmond High School.
Yeah,
Fuck.
Stephen Long and I went to Redmond High School.
I'm not gonna. I know. I'm not gonna edit this out, but fucking Alex and Steven are gonna yell at me. I can't believe I made that screw up. But it was just because you were talking about you were in Minnesota working when you went to that conference.
I was born and raised in
Yes, I know all this.
Mukilteo,
Sorry.
Washington, right near Boeing Field. So like the biggest building in I don't know if it's the United States,
In the
but
world.
in the world, where they
Manufacturing
build,
plant.
manufacturing
Yes.
plant. So when I was growing up, when they test the engines at 2 a.m, our single pane windows would rattle like.
Yes.
You could hear it. So we lived there, and then we moved to Woodinville. It's so amazing
yes.
to hear Alex and Steven's stories because they're following the path that I had in life because their townhouse in Redmond was literally blocks from when I turned 20.
That apartment, the 3-story apartment.
Yeah, where they lived.
Yeah.
I was about 4 blocks away. Like that's
Wow.
where I lived in my 20s. I had a townhouse there that I lived with a ex-boyfriend.
That's awesome. And then you lived in Woodinville for a while?
We went from Mukilteo to Woodinville. My parents built a house in Woodinville, and we lived there for a few years. And then my parents separated, and so my mom and I moved out, and my dad moved somewhere else. And then when I graduated from high school, my goal was to get out. So I moved into an apartment. And I was on my own for was it an apartment? I don't remember the finite. I moved out with a coworker and his friends, and I had my own room there. But they had been roommates for so long that they were just
in the same town.
In Kirkland.
Okay.
Kirkland, like where
Kirkland. That's what I was gonna say. Yes.
And so I literally everything that Alex and Steven are doing, I'm within blocks, and I'm like, I used to go to that bar, and that bar what that is now used to be a bar I used to go to all the time. That's where I got my belly button pierced. That's where I hooked up with this person. That's where I met this asshole. I mean, I can sit there and they're like. I'm like, you're living my life. You're literally, and my first office, farmers. I've worked for farmers for 30 years, and my first office was on the hill from where their house is.
So, okay, I don't want to interrupt, but so after high school, did you immediately get on at farmers, or what was your, did you just wanted to go to school, or you started at farmers? Then what was your connection there, or?
Well,
did
I
it
worked
just
at a doctor's office through high school.
Okay.
And I could never get enough hours, and I have a squeamish stomach, and kids would come out. Yeah, it was a family practice, and kids would come in and throw up in the lobby, and then
fucking kids are so annoying.
And so I just couldn't do that anymore. And farmers had an ad for like PBX operator, so like the phone person, and that was where back in that day it was you'd have 5-6 lines coming in at a time,
right? And
you'd be shipping them out, and I'd be making files and. So in 1992, I started there, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a gap year. I'm just going to do this for a little bit, and then slowly I quickly promoted out of that into another role, and they kept fighting because they figured out I figured things out quickly. And so they gave me, they tried to get me to like an adjuster level. They wanted me to be an auto adjuster, but the company wanted a college degree, and I'm just like, I not dyslexic, but I have a reversal disorder, so I see things a little differently than most. So I have to slow down when I do things so I can read properly. And so I, had some challenges there, but finally they said, okay, we're going to give you 1 year. You can take these 3 insurance courses, and then you can apply for a job. And they opened up that to everybody. And so I did it. And so from there in 2000, I got a supervisor job.
So you took the courses as you're also working.
Yeah, and they were like, not big courses. These weren't like college level courses. These were just insurance courses. So I took them, took the 3 of them, applied for the job. They gave it to me. I was an adjuster from 2000 to 2006-ish. And then I became a supervisor, and I was a supervisor in different lines of business for 10 years.
But for farmers, I mean, so who were you overseeing?
You did the CMT program? CMT was the first one. LDP,
which is the leadership program.
LDP was the second one.
There was
acronyms.
Yeah, all these farmers acronyms. I became a supervisor, and then, in 1999, I was fixed up with from a coworker that worked in one office with another they said, hey, there's this guy that works at a different office. He's recently divorced. Red flag. That needs a date to a Y2K party, so 1999.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so they hooked me up with Jason One, and we met in early December just to meet, to see, and so we went to this Y2K party, and that's how we met. And then we got married in 2004, and he worked for farmers, but he changed to kind of more the sales side of things, and with that he got promoted, and so we ended up in LA in 2007, and we were there.
You moved to LA?
Yeah. So in 1 year, we went from yeah.
Was she there the same time you were?
No. This is so weird.
I'm trying to put the years together.
It's our paths.
You just miss each other, I feel like.
We're always close because there was a time when I was working so I started my career at Farmers in Oregon.
Right.
But then I transferred over to Yakima.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I was part of the Washington State operations. So she knew of my name. She can tell that story.
I mean, he's kind of a big deal.
I will.
He's kind of a big deal, so of course you knew him.
BFD. But I knew his name because it was for the big, I don't know if you remember this, but there were big Seattle riots. We went downtown for Fat Tuesday. What else do they call it? I don't know. And
Mardi Gras?
Mardi Gras, I guess.
That's Fat Tuesday, yeah.
So we went downtown, and before we went downtown, we went to a co-worker's house. And
what year are we talking about?
2000. Was that 2? What year did you start at Yakima?
Oh, was this the riots in Seattle for the World Trade thing?
Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Whatever you went to Yakima. So I won't name his name, but my manager at the time was applying for a job in Yakima, and this Jason got it. And so my Jason, the first Jason, and I were going out with this manager that I had to go downtown Seattle to go bar hopping that night. And so we go to a friend's house to pick him up, and he's sitting there, and he's like, I didn't get the job. That asshole Jason Roth got it. He only got it because his dad's the HR manager. And I was just like, that is...
So Jerry's getting shrapnel?
Oh, yeah.
I know.
What the hell?
This is the first time I heard Jason's name. Like, this is like, I don't know who you're talking
Poor
about.
Jerry, it wasn't his fault.
No. So, that's the first time I ever heard Jason's name. And, then he was in QA, which is evil. And that's other ways I've heard his name. But, yeah, our paths crossed. So we went from, in 2007, I moved with my ex-husband from Kirkland to LA. And we got there in April, and then in September we went to Minnesota. He got another promotion. We went to Minnesota.
So that's how you ended up in Minnesota.
That's how I ended up in
and
Minnesota.
This is what I've always heard is that if you want to move up in farmers or probably any insurance company, you have to be willing to relocate.
Yes.
Right. That's kind of the process.
At least on that side of I guess they were really big on it.
Got to do your time in California at some point.
Yeah.
It was
it's
tough.
Like doing time.
And
I can understand. I know.
When I've done interviews, I've said I worked in this office in LA, and that is, if I can survive that, I can survive anything you give me. It was a gong show.
So it's almost empowering. In a way, if you look at it that way.
Yeah, it was a hard time. And then we moved to Minnesota, and then after the first affair, we went through marriage counseling, and then a year later, there was another affair, and I figured it out, and he said January he was leaving for a trip, and the day I was taking him to the airport, he said, I'm not coming back. And so then I was left in Minnesota by myself with a house and 2 dogs.
And it was 2 weeks later you ended up in Oklahoma City.
No, there was a period of time. That was January.
Okay.
And he didn't talk to me again until May when he came home to retrieve
Oh, I'm sorry.
items.
You were in Oklahoma City 2 weeks after you officially were getting divorced.
Yes.
Right, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I had January to May until I realized in early June at a family wedding that he said we're getting divorced, and he didn't tell me why, and then I figured out why.
Yeah.
Wait, I can tell you when we met in Oklahoma because I got
June 22nd. It's in our calendar.
It's in my reminders
It's
to
June
go off
22nd.
annually. Yes.
Jason, bring the mic closer to your mouth. I want to hear this. Grab the arm and bring it closer.
I put it in my reminders.
There
to
we go.
Off annually. First met in OKC 2011. And it goes off on June 22nd every year.
Romantic. So anyway, yes, I was born. Long ass story short, I was born in Washington. I lived in Washington, and then I moved home. So after my little tour of duty from following my ex-husband around town, landed back in Washington. I moved back to the Bothell area again, where Alex and Steven lived for a period of time.
Right.
And then after a period of time, we decided we were going to date. And then shortly thereafter, well, that was 14, we decided we were going to date. And then I was working for an office that absolutely hated him with a passion. And
But
so,
up in the Seattle area.
Right.
Right.
so I would do
And
all these
obviously
trips.
Jason was down here.
Mm-hmm. So we do all these back and forth trips.
Yeah.
And
We had to be very secretive.
Very discreet. Yes.
discreet about being friends because they hated him so much. And I was like, I'm not going to take I'm not taking the shrapnel on that one. So you got a reputation, boy, and I'm not going down with you. And I go, if I'm just friends. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go visit a friend in Vancouver. I'm going to go visit a friend. And then finally people started piecing, oh, this is your friend. That makes more sense. And I'm like, yep. So it's super sad that you have to hide a friendship because, again,
It is.
people have
Perception.
An opinion.
Perception. Yes.
They didn't know anything about him. They didn't know what he went through. They didn't know what he was raising 3 children and, going to dance things and making tutus and they didn't know anything about him. They just knew that they were giving him scores or holding him accountable for stuff, and that's why they persecuted
Yeah, but
him.
they were making opinions based on surface level information, which is
Right.
all bullshit.
And this
right.
is not to go off on another tangent, but this
No,
is what
feel
I have
free.
wrong. This is
I got all
wrong.
night. Jason has to get up
No,
early.
Jake, don't worry about
all
it. He'll be fine. He doesn't sleep. He'll be up at 3 anyway. So that's what I have. That's my
It's
number
because
one.
old men got to pee at 3.
Right. Sorry.
Amen to that, dude. I have to
And
do
I'm
that
up at
every
3
night.
'cause menopausal symptoms wake me up at 3, so it's okay.
Yeah, a heat flash.
Right.
Tag out.
Oh my
Your turn.
god.
That's the problem, though, is that everybody makes a judgment. And I was literally watching Facebook today, and I'm scrolling through, and there's an ad for a house, and I'm like, I was showing Katie because she knew somebody that was looking for a house to rent, and somebody's looking for a house, looking for a roommate, and somebody who's not looking for a house wants to comment on this and say, oh, I saw this post earlier, and they're just blasting her about how she's asking for, the rent, and she wants to know what she makes. She's not interested.
No,
in this
they're
house.
just trolling
She
her.
just wants to put an opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to have an opinion on
Yes.
something, and I think people use Facebook or social media to, what is the right word? To rub shit in people's faces.
It is a keeping up with the Joneses, but it's also so the problem with that the way that everybody's on social media, the way we interact now, there's a lot of good things about Facebook. I can stay connected to family and friends that I might not see, but there is a total different interaction if you're just at a laptop
Yes.
commenting to somebody versus if you would say things in a comment on Facebook that you would never say to somebody's face. That's the problem.
But is that generational? Because I will never do that.
I wouldn't say it's generational. It is the fact that technology allows us to do that. If this social media existed in the 70s and we grew up on it, we would probably be the same way our kids were.
It's because there's no consequence of somebody punching you.
That's
right
what
in
I'm
the fucking
saying.
Face.
Yeah,
Right.
because
Was-
you
I
can
mean,
write
yeah.
you can write a mean comment on Facebook and nobody's going to punch you in the face.
Right.
But you would never say that to them in real life.
And I don't-
But if we were exposed to that as 10-year-old kids and our brains aren't fully developed, we might be the same way. So it's not a generational thing. It's the fact that technology is advancing faster than the human brain can compete with it.
See, I don't put myself out on social media, not because I'm old. I keep up with technology, but I just don't want to have that.
Issue.
Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
have that sort of interaction. I guess I want to enjoy it for what it is and for what I
Yeah.
use it for, right? And I don't want to get drawn into these
dramas.
dramas.
Because
there
it's-
was a time period where
It makes us petty
I
and
would
mean.
follow people's posts and I would read the comments and I would comment on the comments and I'm like,
Oh my God.
the fuck am I doing?
I'm
This
so
is
glad you brought that
ridiculous.
up. This is actually something else I just thought of, but I tell every single guest. And it doesn't matter now because I'm not big. Nobody, I think the most,
Oh, you're big, Ken.
stop it. The most views one of my episodes has had was Linda's, and I think I've had 100 views. That's it. So I'm nobody. Nobody's seeing my podcast, but I always warn everybody, look, if people start seeing it, don't read the comments. do not ever read the comments on anything because it's just a bunch of fucking trolls sitting in their
Oh.
mom's basements.
See, I just
But just don't read the comments. You know, if you do a podcast with me, I'm like, listen to it, enjoy it, but do not click on those fucking comments because, again, that's
Good to
not
know.
happening with
Good to
me.
know. I wouldn't. Yeah.
It's not happening with me, but that is just not good for your soul.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no reason to read those comments because if at some point, it might even be somebody that you haven't seen for 30 years from high school or something, just makes a snide comment. You don't need to put that in your brain.
No.
There's no reason to read that.
This is why we have so much anxiety now. I'm like, where did all these people
Yes.
get anxiety?
I've known
Like-
a lot
Social
of
media.
people that you'll see a Facebook post back when I was on Facebook. And
Right.
that, hey guys, just want to let y'all know I'm going to take a break from Facebook, and I'm like, oh well, why? And then after a while, you start to realize this is why, because they get drug into things,
Yeah.
and they just go down rabbit holes.
Yes,
That,
and that's why you don't read.
yeah,
I use Facebook to stay connected to family and friends, and I use Facebook to share happy moments in my life. I post and I ghost. That's what you do. Post and ghost. Hey, I'm happy. I wanted to show you I'm having a good time with people I care about, and I don't go back and read the comments.
It's sad though because I don't know if it didn't start with it, but I think I meant just spent more time on social media. But through the Trump era, through the COVID era,
Well, it's definitely
For-
gotten worse.
it got so bad.
Yes.
Like, there were people that I never thought on my friends list on Facebook specifically that were that hateful and gross people. And I'm like,
yeah, a face-to-face conversation with them.
They wouldn't be that hateful.
would
right.
not.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
yes.
they're like, if you're a Trump, and I'm not saying I'm a Trump supporter. I'm just saying they're like, if you're a Trump supporter, die. Or if you're a Trump
Right.
supporter, you can just unfriend me. I want nothing to do with you. And I'm like,
But social media almost gives them an avenue to just be the worst part of themselves. The
Right.
worst person they can be. That gives them a green light to do it.
yeah.
Where they would never do that if they were in person with people. So
I had to unfollow a lot of people because I was just like,
yeah,
I don't care what you're saying. Like you can say you're a Democrat, you can say you're a Republican. I don't care. But the hate that's coming out of you is such an
yeah.
evil hate, and you're raising children, and so now your children are going to be. That's what's going to be taking care of our generation.
And all of a sudden, you found an outlet that lets you express your anger with impunity. There's
Yeah.
no consequences when you do it that
Right.
way.
Yeah.
That is so fucked up.
yeah.
So okay.
So not to go on a tangent.
Yeah, we're
but
getting off topic there.
Sorry.
I'm gonna grab another beer, but
That
I
all
do.
happened from Muckleteo.
I know, but I do want to.
Let's cut to commercial.
I can pause it. Yeah,
Oh, is
let
that
me
a
pause
thing?
it for 1 second.
I mean, you don't have to pause shit.
Oh, or if you guys want to keep talking.
I don't know if cutting
No.
Okay, let me pause it. We're not done.
All
right, we're back live.
yeah,
Do it live.
don't.
I'll write it and we'll do it live.
We only get one time, so let us have our time.
Yeah, stop with the. Oh, we better
If
go.
you need to
because
go, that's
Jason's
one thing.
got to go to bed because.
I am so
old
not,
as fuck.
Jason. I'm so not calling you out. I'm just trying to be considerate.
We appreciate it.
Well, fuck off! Don't.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to hear. Just tell me to fuck off. So, also, I was kind enough to not wear my Redskins jersey, but I did wear a Tom Brady shirt. So I thought that
You remember that?
I like that.
Do you remember when we were at your house for? I think it was the Super Bowl party.
Yes, it
Because-
was.
And Ken's like, "Come here.
Yes.
Come into my
Yes.
bedroom with
No,
me."
he's
Not a
blocking that
funny
memory
joke.
out. But I brought Gwen in the bedroom because, of course, I have a few Redskins jerseys. Like, you have to put this on.
Oh, just stop the comment there.
Right. It was just like, Gwen, come with me to my bedroom. I'm like, this is awkward.
No, that's why you gotta make it weird.
Put on my clothes. I'm like, okay. Now
That
walk
is
out
not
to-
how I phrased it.
Oh, and she's just all along with the Kool-Aid. Sure. Fuck it, let's go.
do this.
Let's get weird.
So she came out in a Redskins jersey and sat on your lap with your Dallas Cowboys jersey. That was a precious moment. I was so proud of you, Gwen.
Do what I'm told.
No, you don't. You're so lying.
I do what I'm
Oh
told.
my God.
You can't have Redskins jerseys anymore, anyways. Now, so
Oh, I'm sorry. Washington Commanders. My bad. I know. And now I have to buy another jersey because those are cheap. Jesus.
Okay, what path? Take us down a path.
Jason, Were you born in Oregon City?
No.
Okay.
We lived in Milwaukee.
Okay.
So there were like fuzzy memories of being a child in Milwaukee.
But you went through school in Oregon City,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
from
yeah.
elementary all through high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We moved out to Oregon City, but out towards Beaver Creek.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were kind of on the edge there.
Okay.
So, yeah, lived in that house for
So is that the
until I
house you
bought a
lived
house.
in? Is that the house you lived in when you went to high school?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You had to ride the bus, and the bus went all the way to Beaver Creek.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. That's actually a long ways. But back then in the country towns, I'm from Canby, so I remember there was a bus that would feed into Canby High School that went all the way out to like almost Woodburn. For like the 91 school district, which is where I went to 5th and 6th grade in 91, but everything else I was in Canby. Your parents, where are they from?
My dad from Milwaukee.
Oregon?
Yep.
Okay.
My mom from the Dalles.
Sheila was from the Dalles?
Yeah.
Born there.
Yeah. So my grandpa, her dad, was Navy. No. God damn it. I'm going to screw this up.
It's okay.
I think it was Navy. All right. So this is the most
Military.
interesting story.
Just military.
So he worked in the shipyards.
Oh, okay.
In the Dalles. So
Okay.
that's where they grew up in there. But he was Pigeon Company in the military. Pigeon Company is how they used to send messages with messenger pigeons.
Oh, right.
His role in the war was Pigeon Company to use trainer pigeons
To actually tie the message on the pigeon's
to
leg.
send messages
oh my gosh.
throughout, because they didn't have like cell phones you just pick up.
Right,
Hey.
right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then
People don't
how-
know what this means anymore, do
So no, they don't, and they also don't know what this means when you had to do a rotary
Right.
dial.
they? Call me.
So how did your parents meet?
Farmers.
Did they seriously both work for farmers?
Uh-huh.
It's coming full circle.
Yeah, no,
Incest.
It's not incestuous. It's just the
Farmers
miracle,
incest.
So
the miracle
I-
of farmers.
Yeah.
Can farmers sponsor me?
I joke, not to interrupt, but I joke that one of the benefits farmers has given me are husbands, because I've had two.
Oh my God.
Sorry, continue. Shipyard
I
pigeons.
know. I was gonna say that someone in my immediate family, because she still works there, has been employed at Farmers Insurance since 1970.
Your mom, or what?
Still there.
There has been continuous employment.
Not since 1970. She was
No.
born in
There has
74.
been
What?
continuous
Dad?
employment at Farmers Insurance.
family member.
in the Roth family.
A family. I'm sorry. I
since
see what you're saying.
1970.
I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sheila, Jerry,
Pam worked
Jason,
there.
Pam.
Yes,
and
I
Dad.
know.
Yeah.
But your parents, Sheila and Jerry, met at Farmers.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! What was and they met at Farmers in the Oregon City area, or was he at the big building that was
Yeah,
off
Taggart.
of
Yeah.
right off of 217 and I-5?
Yeah.
Yes.
The iHeartRadio building now?
Is that what it is?
It used to be. I don't know if it still is, but
Okay.
it was. It is now, yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember going there as a kid.
Oh my
Riding
gosh!
the elevator.
So
in the
then,
skyscraper.
so then you obviously you go to Oregon City High School, graduate. Was that something you always wanted to do, or was it just like?
No.
Who wants to go
Don't
on
s-
Who
insurance?
signs up with
Actually, Jason can say that because he doesn't work there anymore.
All right,
He can
so
make that face.
I actually, and you probably know this too, but there are like college courses now to how to become an insurance adjuster. I'm like, well, what the fuck? We didn't have that.
Yeah, you don't have to go to college to do that.
So at the time when we both did, they wanted a
4-year.
Yeah, they wanted a 4-year college degree. You could be microbiology, didn't matter.
You just
As
have a
long as
degree.
you had a degree, and that's all they hired for. So,
Right.
I started there in 1995, and
You did.
yeah,
So what did you? So there was a few years after high school that you did something else.
yeah. Well, college, worked in a warehouse.
Which warehouse?
So the company was called Cormark actually.
I know that company. Is that in Milwaukee?
Still around, yeah.
Yeah.
By remember the old Costco, or one of the original Costco's in the area for this area? It was by the Kmart there off 212.
Yep. You're not talking about Costco.
Yeah.
It's not Costco. There was
No,
never a
but
Costco there.
It was back in that area was the warehouse that
Maybe
I worked
a
at.
distribution warehouse or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So we were distribution for
But right off that 212 between Clackamas and Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I was hired to sweep floors and tear up boxes and
So warehouse time, but there was some other jobs before you ended up at Farmers.
Nope.
That was it?
Yeah.
And did you just decide to go to Farmers because you went to school for a while, but it just
I
wasn't?
did. I went to school for a while, but
It just wasn't floating your boat.
yeah, it was difficult to find a decent paying job. So part of the problem, my first 2 years of college, so I started, okay.
Oh,
high
and
school-
where'd you go to
Out of high
school?
school, I went to work at the warehouse. And I was working there temporarily and full time until college started.
Okay.
And then I switched to part time.
Okay.
So I did my first 2 years of college. I worked part time. So work half day, college second half of the day.
Damn.
College was 5 days a week,
Yep.
4 hours a day.
Yeah.
My last year of college, I had promoted up in the company. And so they gave me a salary job, which was $25,000 annually, which was some.
That's pretty
shit.
good back in the early 90s. Damn.
So I was living at home,
Mhm.
making that money. So
You had some fuck you money.
I didn't have any expenses, so I would get up, I would work,
I just
8
said
hours
that
a
for
day,
Gwen.
and then I'd go to school for 4 hours a night. And I carried that on for 1 year straight. We didn't have summer breaks.
Were the night classes like 6 p.m. to 10
It
p.m.?
was like 6 to 10.
Yes, I did some of that stuff too. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But where were you going to school at this point?
It's irrelevant.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is irrelevant because I realized after I asked him he doesn't want to talk about it. It's fine.
no,
he
where?
does.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Oh,
funny
okay.
because when one of his jobs
ITT.
wanted to his
Oh, okay, that's respectable.
he
Fuck.
is, but one of his recent jobs wanted his transcript. They don't exist
They're
anymore.
not a.
I know it's out of business.
Yeah.
No, the reason I was like not going to ask him because my shame was I went to fucking PCC for those 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. classes for a while. You went to an actual respectable school. I just went to community college.
Kind of like
But
that.
sorry,
College.
go ahead and go with the story.
No, so I graduated college, got my degree, but I stayed at the warehouse, and then still living at home. Pam and I clearly were together.
Right,
and then,
right.
Lived at home, and I bought a home. So Gwen had a lot of experiences I never did. I never did the apartment thing. I never
You
did
bought a
duplexes.
home
I lived from
before you worked at Farmers,
Yes.
working at the warehouse.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
so my first thing out in life was buying a home. So Pam and I bought a house together.
So I'm going to pause for a second. So Gwen, the reason I'm acting shocked is you have to. I think you know this about me, but I didn't actually grow up and become an adult until I was in my 40s.
So you
So
met Pam.
I am yes. So I'm fucking shocked. I'm like, you didn't even have a career and you bought a home? I've never bought a home. To this day, I rent from Pam. So anyway, go with your story. I'm impressed.
No, it was so we were homeowners, and
Wow.
then we got married.
But there was some impetus that you were like, okay, I need to do something else.
It was I needed to do something different, and so at that point, trying to get a job in the career that I went to college for, I was gonna have to like take a few steps back, money wise, to start off
What'd you go to college for?
to do it. Automated manufacturing technology,
Okay.
robotics. So
Learn something new every
I
day.
couldn't do
That's
that.
why I do
because
this.
Here, Pam and I own a house, so I couldn't move backwards.
Yeah, I need at least a certain level of income.
Well,
I have to make a certain amount of money.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So, so my dad said, well, hiring at farmers.
So he was never like pushing it on you, but
No.
he was like, "Hey, we have if you want it, we have an opportunity."
Right.
What was your first position there?
Auto adjuster.
So you had to go out to the accidents and make the decisions and
No, I had to go to the tow yards and
oh, so
Right,
after right and
take
kind of
my Polaroid camera and
okay.
snap some photos.
Yep.
Staple them to a piece of paper.
And staple them. But then after a while, you couldn't staple because remember the courts deemed that was tampering with.
Tampering with evidence? Oh my god.
Yeah, because you altered the photo
Oh,
by putting
fuck.
holes through.
That
Yeah.
way we have glue sticks.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, started working at farmers. 2 years into that job, moved to the management program. Spent a year and a half that. Then we got moved to Yakima.
Which so that kind of led you on. You had to make the moves to advance in farmers.
Yeah. So
right.
the same thing that Gwen experienced
Yeah.
is that if you want to move up, you got to move around.
Yeah, and then so your dad obviously was there, and your mom was also working there.
No, not anyone. No. She after they got married, she left farmers.
Oh, okay.
So
Was it a
She did what 70s
was
moms
it just
did and
because
raised
of a
kids.
conflict, or she just didn't want to have to work in the same place as her husband, or
I think she just took the path. of-
nice.
Raising kids.
Yeah, the 70s, thing. It was just that's.
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of how it
different
was.
generation.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. That's just how it was, and so. But then later in life, though, after I don't know, I don't even know what age, honestly. In today's standard, this is what the age it was. In today's standards, we were far too young to be left home alone, but that's just how things happened back
8?
then.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It was like there was no babysitter. It was just it's summertime. You two figure shit out. Take care of yourself. Oh, and there's a pool out back. Go ahead and swim if you want. I mean,
There's no lifeguard on duty.
yeah, that's just how life
my God.
was. I mean, we all live. We didn't have bike helmets either. Fucking live. So my mom did go back to work. She worked at she started working at Washington Mutual.
Oh, the bank. Yeah.
Yeah, which
We'll see first.
yeah,
No.
oh no, it was Fred Meyer Credit Union actually to begin with. And it changed a whole bunch of names, but eventually she worked her way up. She managed like 2 or 3 different branches
Is that why she has a Mercedes?
in the Portland area. Yeah, she was a banker. She's a banker.
And she has a Mercedes, and I want to buy that Mercedes from her whenever she wants to sell it.
Stand in
I want her car. Oh my god.
It's got damaged now though. She hit her garage.
Jason, I can edit that out, Sheila. I'm sorry.
But you won't.
No, I probably
Hi.
won't.
I'm not the one who hit the garage. He did.
Oh my god. So you know what I also on the drive over, since I had so much notice, Gwen, to plan this. Yeah, I'm not going to let that go. So your other daughter, not other, sorry, your second daughter, Haley, is getting married in like literally 3 fucking weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm stressing about this. Oh, do you guys want to help me make the keg cocktails?
We can.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
We'd like to see where our ingredients went. You get a lot of looks at Costco when you go out with
Yeah, when you're pushing a flatbed cart of liquor.
everybody wants to be your friend.
I was gonna say, I feel like you guys just did this the beginning of October of last year. I remember you walking in front of the tire sales desk with a whole flatbed full of stuff. Now, the advantage of this one is we don't have to travel so far. It should be an easier thing, and I don't have to DJ it, so the pressure is off. Thank God. I just have to make the K cocktails, so maybe that's also some pressure.
Well,
Yeah.
she liked it at Costco because as we were pushing the cart, you'd get comments from people that are like, "Ooh."
Somebody get married?
I go,
yeah.
my wife likes to day drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would say that.
Oh it gets better because he would there was one specific trip, he came to Seattle, or came to where I was living, and we went for Valentine's Day. He's like, let's go downtown Seattle and we'll have dinner and we'll get a hotel down there and we'll have a nice night and then we don't have to drive anywhere. I'm like, great. So we go to dinner at Cutter's, which is a nicer, like, fish type restaurant on the water.
But it's in like downtown
It's
Seattle
downtown Seattle
proper.
before it turned into a train wreck. And then we stayed.
She can't
at
help
hotel-
herself, can she?
No, it's a disaster. And we checked into the hotel, and as we're checking in, they're like, are you like, can we, they ask for your name for the guest, and he looks at me and goes, what's your name again? And then he's like, you won't tell my wife I'm here with her if she calls, will you? I'm like, would you please stop this? And so then at the end of the night, we go to dinner, and we're going to go back to our I Love Lucy beds. Legit I Love Lucy beds. He had his
With
bed.
the heart?
No,
No, just two
twin
twin
beds.
Oh, you
beds
just meant
with a
separate beds.
nightstand in
Separate
Oh,
beds. We had
I'm
separate
sorry.
beds.
Okay.
And
Don't tell me you've never watched I Love Lucy.
Of course, I grew
they
up
had
on
their
it.
own bed. We each
But
had our own
I knew
bed.
that. But
I
I
Googled
thought that the what went against the wall. I thought it was a heart.
We
Wasn't
must have
it?
still just been. No, I don't think so. We still must have just been friends at this point because we only had our own beds.
Right, separate
And
beds.
He's like, let's go to Target and get some drinks and some snacks, and we'll go.
Let's go to Target.
Yeah, because it was on the way. and
That's
we
a
didn't
hot
have
date.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Target. So we go to Target downtown Seattle, and we're going through the line, and we've got our boxed wine and our popcorn and our chips and whatever. And he's like, "What did you say your name is again?" And he just, every time he has an opportunity to embarrass me, he does it, and he makes it sound like he just picked me up on the street corner.
He would never do that.
But he does it, and it's hilarious. I laugh more with him than I have probably my entire life. It's so fun. But yeah,
I think that kind of sums it up. That's actually pretty awesome.
yeah. The fun fact, not even fun. I don't know. I shouldn't say fun. How to phrase this? And a lot of people don't know this about Jason.
The pertinent fact.
Pertinent fact. Thank you. He has a sister.
Yeah, I know. I was making a point to not bring that up because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about it. So
I think it's important. She's part of his
it is.
story.
It is actually very important, but I wanted that to happen naturally.
I
so
brought it up. I'm dragging it out.
Well,
it's Gwen's fault.
natural. You
It's
never know.
totally Gwen's fault. Yes. So I feel free to talk about that.
I guess,
Yeah,
in my
it's-
perspective, though, not to interrupt again, but perspective is you want to have a story for the future generations to know.
Yes,
this-
absolutely.
this
But I
is it.
also want my guests to be comfortable talking about what they want
No,
to talk
yeah,
about.
Yeah, I think
so.
it's
I'm
so
not uncomfortable.
far-
little closer to the mouth.
I just
Just pretend like it's Gwen and you're trying to kiss her.
Oh, stop.
That's so hot. I wish I had an HD camera. Yes, I'm.
It's not that I'm uncomfortable.
I'm
talking
more
about
than
it.
happy to talk about it.
No, it's
yeah.
just it doesn't happen often, right? And so she had a very jaded past, So of course, siblings, you grow up together. She was older than me.
But
She was 2
you
years
only
older
had the
than me.
one sibling, right?
yeah,
Okay,
that's
that
it.
just and she was younger.
Older.
Oh, she was older.
Yeah.
I should know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she was
okay.
2 years older than me. So like most siblings, older and younger, I mean, boy and girl, you fight and,
Right.
natural things, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't, and I always looked up to her, right?
Yeah.
As a younger.
How many years older?
Just 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't like extreme or anything.
Right.
But, it probably just started, I think. Oh man, finishing out elementary, 6th grade, going into junior high, just bad decisions and, like skipping school and hanging out with the wrong people.
So are you
and-
saying you noticed a change at that age?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just, and again, I can only look back and realize this because at the time I was too young and too naive
Yes.
to recognize, what a pathological liar looks like. And, course, I could never even say that word back then or even know what it means. But, when you fast forward, look back in your life, and you're like, well, damn, she had lots of stories and
Yeah, I almost want to say that's a condition and not a label, though. You know what I'm saying? She didn't choose to be that, I guess is what I'm saying. So
yeah, I can't tell you where things turned
or
or if there was
if
any
there was
like
a
one.
singular cause
Yeah,
that yeah.
and you can't say it's a product of environment.
No, because you both grew
Because-
up in the same environment
Right.
and both of you turned out differently.
Yeah. So, uh, she barely made it through junior high. Never stepped one day into high school.
Oh, I didn't know that. She didn't even go to high school.
No.
Okay.
And so Oregon City was 10 through 12. So junior high was 7 through 9.
Right.
Right. So I think they graduated her out of, freshman year just by saying, we don't want you to come back. So we're going to graduate you. Right.
Okay.
She started dating the son of my parents' longtime friends, right? Which isn't too uncommon, right? They knew each other, and then she had an accident in a movie theater, slipped on popcorn, butter, whatever on the floor.
Like
tore her knee.
Clackamas Town Center?
I
Or?
don't even know. Is it at some movie theater? I don't even remember where the movie theater was.
Okay. And what age was this?
Man, she was 20s, right?
Okay.
So she was, boyfriend. They were, living together, apartment. She had this accident, and she legit fucked her knee up.
Okay.
But that was the beginning of pain meds.
Oh shit, and that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So up to that point in life, I don't think she did drugs. She definitely didn't show the signs of it. She just made bad decisions and
Right.
didn't always tell the truth. But from that point forward, it just, that is where I can look back and say absolute turning point, happened.
I'm assuming this must have been hard on Sheila and Jerry, because they're trying to deal with this.
Well, they were, but they then also were going through a divorce.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah.
Right at the time.
Okay.
Which kind of played to my sister's ability too, because now you got two separate, and it wasn't a pretty divorce.
Right.
But
they're trying to handle their own stuff and also trying to deal with their daughter.
right. So
You want to tell the rental car story? I always
man,
find that
that just
fascinating.
but this went on for years.
Yeah.
Years of, just the leg's never going to get better, and just,
But it was an addiction to the pain pills.
it was an addiction
Yeah,
to the pain
yeah, yeah.
pills. So,
And what was? I'm assuming your relationship with her was strained through all this time.
yeah,
Because
so
you care about her, but
I
there's a lot of stuff going on.
I can look back and say I did. At the time, I'd probably say I didn't care about her.
But you did. Of course you did.
No, I know. Looking back, I can say I did. But, I saw the impact it had on my parents.
Mm-hmm.
The stealing and the lying and the, things are going to be different, right? She was very, very extremely good at lying and letting you believe a story and roping you. And I'd find myself at times like, yeah, I can see this is going to be different.
The new term for it is gaslighting.
Yeah.
Well, but it's your family, it's your sister, so you're looking for the best. You always have hope.
There was up to a point where I couldn't and I had to separate myself from it.
For your own health,
Right. And, you know, look,
for the health of your family. I mean,
right.
yeah,
We had kids.
yeah,
My sister knew, I didn't know. She met Alex and Haley. They were both too young to ever realize.
right.
But Brady never. She'd long been out of the picture since then. But yeah, the rental car story was. She had convinced my dad again. And as a parent, I can see this too. It's hard to say
Daddy's
no.
girl.
It's hard to say no. And even though the last time you said never fucking again, because 10 times before you said never fucking again, but it happens, right? And I don't, you know.
Oh, you're not
I
judging.
understand.
Yes, you relate to
But
it.
she convinced her to let her move back in temporarily, right? And the temporarily just turned into something more. And then it was, okay, we just need a rental car, and we're moving all of our stuff. And he had rented the car under his name, and then they were gone with the car.
Yeah.
And enough people probably know this, but my dad struggled with it.
Of course, as he should.
To the point that he checked himself in for mental health.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that would do it to me too. Yes.
so I was at the house trying to, take care of things, and, the phone rings. Of course, the
Landline.
land.
Yes,
Thing
where
on the
we had
wall.
we had phones connected by a wire in our
phone
house.
In the house.
You couldn't put it in your pocket.
But it was a rental car agency, and they were asking about the car because, this car has been out for weeks. It was supposed to be like 2 days. And I talked to the guy to, okay, look, if the car comes back here, what do you want me to do? I can disable the car. I could flatten the tires. He's like, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll take that. And so
Right.
doorbell rang. It was my sister. And I'm like, oh, hey, where's the car? And they were smart enough. They parked around the corner. And I was just very fast about it. And I was like, oh, is that the rental car? And I walked up and I took out a knife and I walked around the car and I punctured all 4 tires.
Wow. And you had to do that. And so I feel like this is coming to a head with this story.
Yeah, so at that point, she knew not to ever go back to my dad's life. Try anything there. Years later, so she ended up in California. Made the news down there because she would, answer ads, sort of dating app. But back then
right.
it was in the newspaper, and she would do the same thing. She would move in. She would, sell the lies, and then when they were gone during the day, she would rob them.
Yeah. So I've heard Pam's told me about kind of how it ended at the end. I think she ended up back in the Portland area with a companion, but she got sick. But I feel like at the end.
Yeah. So my mom would go and visit her, but again,
Right.
at that point, it's just.
But I feel like she had an illness, but I feel like at the end, Pam has told me that she did try to not make amends, but reach out when she knew that it was going to be the end. Am I missing something here? Did she write a letter or a note to somebody, or?
I had to completely disconnect.
There was something about that. That all we knew is at the end of it, she maybe came full circle. I don't even know how to explain it. I forgot what Pam told me. But there was
yeah,
some resolution where maybe she had kind of realized that she had been not good to you and her parents, and
Yeah, but you would never know.
I don't want to
Yeah,
glamorize
no,
it.
I'm just saying that after 20, 30 years of, you know, the stories and then let down the stories and let down.
So you're not sure if you can believe it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but at that point, there could have been, but I never would have read it. I never would have responded. I never would have taken it in.
Okay.
I comforted my parents when she passed away, but
Yeah.
He'd actually, when I asked him, I go, how did she die? He's like, I don't know. She was in a facility. And
That's
respiratory. I mean,
and that's what the Pam didn't even know what the illness was.
no, and we actually, it's very vague on the death certificate, and the only reason we know is because we needed it for Jerry's will because she was still in Jerry's will, and they
Oh.
needed to like say she's no longer part of the will.
Right.
And we got it, and it's a very vague diagnosis, so you really don't know what it was.
And how old was she when she passed?
30 something, 30s.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, I mean, it was a lifelong of just bad decisions, and and the drug addiction,
Yeah.
really took her down a path of just no turning back from. After a while, so
Yeah.
Self-preservation, you gotta cut it out, cut the cancer out.
yeah. So
Well, and I'm assuming that affected your parents, obviously. But did the worst of it happen after they got divorced, or this was kind of happening as they were separating? Yeah. It probably didn't help.
Yeah, but I gotta imagine over the years, between the stealing and the borrowing of money, has to be in the six figures.
Ooh.
Wow. It's a good thing Jerry made good money at Farmers. Jesus.
Yeah, so I remember one of the things that we always got as kids in our stocking was a proof set. So every year from 1970, I had a proof set of coins.
I don't know what a proof set is. I'm from Redneck Canby. I don't know what a proof set is.
It comes from the U.S. Mint. And it's in a
Okay.
It's uncirculated. It's a silver dollar, a quarter, a dime.
Oh, so like
nickel,
every
and a penny.
denomination of coin.
But
Okay.
it's in a case.
Okay.
It's uncirculated money, and so you buy it and you get this. So I had 1970 all the way up to 80s.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I had, but sister got a hold of them, and
Oh, okay.
she hawked a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
She hawked a lot of stuff. So
Well, then I'm gonna say this. I was actually honored enough to obviously I've met your mom several times. I love Sheila, and I was actually lucky enough to meet your dad Jerry. I remember at the house before this one. I think it was, I don't know if it was Alex's graduation party.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many graduation parties because some were for high school and some were for fucking college.
right.
But a lot of them happened at that house. But yeah, your dad was there one time, and I remember I was mixing drinks, and he was like, "Can you make me this?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Party
So
Jerry? Oh my
yes, so
God.
I made
I met Party Jerry.
I made your dad a drink because I told him what I was making. I think he asked, "What do you?" I was like, "Would you like one?" He was like, "Yeah," and so I mixed it up. Yeah, so that was really cool. And it's always been amazing how you've always been so gracious. Jason, I'm talking to you. And obviously Gwen too, but to let me into this world and let me be a part of your daughters and Brady's lives. So
Well, you and I are on the same page because we're
ancillary.
entering-
We're ancillary.
right. We're
That's a
just
great
like,
word. I
hey.
love that word, ancillary. But no, we're not. We're part of the family now. But anyway,
You didn't
yes.
take any part in making them.
Well,
Well-
before you started your recording, we were kind of joking about it. Like, I never had my own children, but I came in at the right time. I think Brady was about what would he have been in 11?
He was in the
9,
perfect age when he was the
9 when I
best
met
kid
him.
ever.
Yeah.
Best kid ever. No stress.
He gave the girls were
Hey, let's put this relationship to the test
Right.
right off the bat.
right. Right. The girls were angels because they were like gone. One was on college, on the way to college, and
Well, it's not even about age, but
but Brady
daughters are easier than sons.
Brady did teenage years. He did his job, and his job was to press
Stra-
every button.
To stress the fuck out of Gwen.
Everybody.
Well
Everybody.
done, Brady. Well done.
Like
You deserve a gosh damn gold medal for that.
yes, and he will watch if he watches this. If he finds Facebook and
Oh my
watches this,
God.
he will giggle because he's like, "Haha, I did that."
So we heard Ken's story about meeting Papa Jerry for the first time. Do you want to share yours?
I would
Well,
love
you're gonna have
love to
fill
hear
in
it.
some blanks because after meeting Papa Jerry, I,
I
don't
will
have
I will
half
fill
of,
in the blanks.
half a memory, but we went. He had a place in Palm Springs, and Jason would go there, and he'd drive him down there, and he'd drive him back in the summer. And so I met them down there, and I was coming
There
from
was that
Minnesota.
Sorry, finish your story, but there was that one amazing drive back where you tried to drive Jerry back with Jason, and I think didn't he have to put you on a plane?
No.
No.
I
You made it.
almost.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. And
It was
we'll
a pork,
reconnect to that.
T-
one.
it
tell
was
me-
a
tell
pork
me this-
rind situation.
tell me
but
the story.
yes.
What is good? You wouldn't stop coughing.
Oh, God.
So
But
I've never met this man before ever, and Jason's flying in from Portland.
Portland, but
Yeah.
after you.
After me. So and all he knows is I'm from Minnesota. So Jerry's calling me Minnesota. That's how he knows me. He doesn't know my first name.
But you were going to meet him in Palm
In
Springs.
Palm Springs Airport.
Okay.
Which everything shuts down at about 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
FYI. So I get to the airport and I'm just looking for this person. I've never met him. I don't have a picture of him. And all of a sudden I hear, Minnesota, please meet Jerry.
So Jerry picked you up there?
yes, because he was.
Was Jason there?
No,
Not
I
yet.
wasn't there yet. I
Oh!
was flying in, and so she's like,
So you made your dad pick her up, who she has never
we
met,
were going to meet at the airport. We're all
Yeah,
meeting,
we're
at,
all
the,
meeting at the
airport.
airport.
but you're not there.
but
No.
I'm not there yet. They knew. I mean, it wasn't like it was unplanned, but,
Just
but
messing with you.
Her introduction is Minnesota. Please meet your party in the bar. Minnesota. Please meet your party in the bar.
So I'm walking down. All of a sudden, this man in his New Balance tennis shoes and his air compressor for his oxygen is swinging. I'm like,
His oxygen tank.
that must be Jerry. I go, Jerry? He's like, Minnesota? I'm like,
Oh my God.
name's Gwen, but yeah, that's
No,
me.
that is the best ever.
It was great. We sat in the bar and got hammered. Hammered. Like, to the point, JC gets off the plane and he's like, what the fuck happened?
I met your dad.
Yeah. So then we go to the casino. We go to spot 29 and we continue to drink. And you can take it from here because I just.
You don't want to
No.
talk about the
No.
Taco
Del Mar?
Taco Del Mar. So, yes, after an evening of drinking, and they had about a 2-hour head start on me, we
Right.
left the casino. And, well, first of all, I just want to say that having an elder parent with an oxygen tank is the best DD because it's not like you can do a sobriety test.
No.
if you get pulled over.
No. Nobody's going to mess with him. Yes.
So-
He gets a pass.
So we decided that we have the drunk munchies.
Right.
So,
But
we're
and
at-
in Southern California, Taco Del Mars are everywhere.
Right.
Oh, it's like Taco
everywhere.
Bell.
Yes. Yes.
So we're heading to Taco Del Mar, and here's Gwen hanging out of the back window of the car, shouting out the orders that we're going to have.
I cannot believe that. I don't believe that.
Shocker, isn't it?
She
we
would
get
never
our
do that.
food. Do you want to tell the whole
Nope.
story?
Nope. I want nothing left of this story.
No, tell the whole story, Jason. Your kids want to know.
No, I think they already heard this story.
We get our food, and she's still drunk and sassy, and she's like, talking to Papa Jerry, "You're probably too old to even remember what pussy tastes like."
Gwen, did you really say that? I want to high five your face. That's amazing. I'm so happy you did that.
Not a finer moment, but okay.
No, that's one of your best moments. Go ahead.
So we finished our Taco Del Mar. We probably sat on the patio and had more drinks.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
We all passed out and then decided to go for breakfast the next morning.
So you did get some sleep.
Yeah.
A few hours.
I was so hungover.
Yeah, so
I was so
here's Gwen and
dry toast.
dry toast, sunglasses, and an ice water. She looked like Jake Elwood from the Blues Brothers.
Oh my God.
And there's very few people that are gonna know that
I was
reference.
just gonna say our poor kids are not gonna know that reference.
No. So she just looks like death, and there's Dad sitting down with a big old plate. Takes a sip of coffee and just looks up and he goes, "It's kind of metallic tasting." She is oblivious, has no idea.
Response
Oh
to
my
what pussy tastes like.
You
And
missed it.
I missed it because I don't remember saying this. I would never say this to an elder. Like,
I mean,
was-
the callback was only about 12 hours later, but
Oh, my
you
Lord.
still should have picked
but
it up.
now it explains where, and the kids will understand this reference. I'll go, "Jason, what do you want for dinner?" Silence. Silence. 8 hours later, tacos. And I'm like,
I'm
What?
processing
What?
all the
He's like,
angles and all the
"Tacos?"
decisions.
Yes.
dinner. I'm like, what? Kids get it. Like, the kids will understand what
No,
I'm talking
he's
about.
very thoughtful. He wants to consider his options and think about it before he responds. That's actually very
It
insightful.
took a long time to adapt to that pause
Oh my
because,
God.
you know, some wives would think you're being ignored. Like, why don't you listen to me? Like, I've just kind of learned, like, but if I need an immediate response, did you hear me?
Right.
I heard you. I'm thinking about it. I'm
Yes.
like, okay.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, so yeah, Papa Jerry. But then you go to this park that he was in because he had like a manufactured home. Yeah,
No, trailer.
trailer,
He was trailer trash.
trailer.
He was not trailer
No.
trash. Stop it.
These like I excel to like I strive to be these people. They're drunk and high all day long. I
In
swear to
Palm
God,
Springs?
In Palm
Oh,
Springs.
this retirement
Oh
community.
my God! It's like there's got to be an STD park.
Well,
because
at
they're all
that
just like,
point, they
"Woo!"
don't have any worries. I mean, they've already
No.
done their work. They've worked their careers. They
Oh,
just want to
no.
relax, and they don't give a fuck.
Oh, and this was
They make
was
movies about people like
pre,
this.
like, pot being legalized.
Oh yeah.
And they would just get fucking baked.
But they
because
were
they were having a dinner party, but they all wanted to make sure they really experienced this dinner party.
so they were ahead of the curve.
Oh,
They were,
by-
but
Seriously.
We were making drinks for them one time, and I'm like, "Oh, do you want to try this Deep Eddy with grapefruit?" And he's like, "Oh no, I can't mix that with this medication." Okay, good to know. But then when we cleared, Jerry was still alive. I think we went down to Palm Springs. Well, we had to go down and clean out the trailer at some point, and that all his stuff. I don't remember if he was still alive or not. But we cleaned it out, and we opened up this drawer, and there was a thing of condoms, and they had dust on them. And I'm like, I did not need to see that.
Come on, he was living
He
life.
lived the best
He was living
Like,
life.
that's and he was on the I don't give a fuck plan. I'm gonna eat what I want when I want it. Like when we would go help take care of him when he was in Tualatin, like he would have bacon on the counter. How long has the bacon been on the counter, Jerry? I don't know, a couple days. Don't throw it out. And I'm like, you're gonna die. No, I'm not. And whatever landed on the floor was on the floor, and it was
Yeah.
that's where it stayed.
I can make a comparison. I'm not going to go into detail, but like, so my dad had just a standard coffee pot, normal one, the cheap one, $25. Make pot of coffee every morning, and then he would drink half of it, and then this is his routine. The next morning when he wakes up, that shit that had been sitting in the pot, he would pour it into a cup, microwave it, and then as he's microwaving it, make a fresh pot. And I'm like, why didn't you just make the fucking fresh pot? I don't understand. You're drinking that coffee.
The swill.
Oh, God.
That would be nice and soupy.
Yes, I just don't understand.
Your mom just microwave coffee.
My mom was 24/7 coffee,
Yeah.
like, and to the
Not
point,
decaf either, man.
and it
Like,
never
No,
faced
real
her.
That is so funny you mentioned that because you guys were kind enough to have my Uncle Oscar over here for Thanksgiving. He is the same weight. Wakes up, drinks coffee all day, and then he can sleep. I don't understand it.
Yeah, right.
And he's been that way his entire life. I always know when I go visit him, and obviously my mom lived with him, I could always get a fresh cup of coffee because it's always fresh. They just make it all day.
Yeah, they do. Like my mom couldn't tolerate anything after chemo but coffee,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, seriously. So we got her the Yeti mug, and I actually use it every day.
Yeah.
Because she was too weak to get up to make tea or coffee. So this cup keeps your coffee or your warm drink warm for a long,
Amazing.
long time and forever. And
Oh my God! So I am going to give a shout out to Alex and Steven because they bought me a Yeti thing, and they actually DJ Center. They put the stencil on it.
Yeah.
I still use that today
Are you trying
because
to get sponsored here?
only from your daughter and her husband.
Seeing if Yeti will pick you up.
No. Just from Alex and Steven because they're rich. So obviously
anymore.
I'm kidding, but that is the only thing that keeps it hot. I can fill that up with coffee, and 6 hours into my shift, it is still fucking hot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why we got that cup, because she didn't have to get up and get her tea or coffee all day
that makes
long.
so much sense.
And so, yeah.
So, like how I have chapstick in every room, her mom had
Coffee
coffee
cups
cup in every
Yeah.
room.
everywhere.
Like, oh, hey, I should microwave this one.
Yeah.
No, let's just keep it hot,
Right.
and
Yeah.
we can brew you fresh coffee.
But my dad, he had a coffee cup that man never cleaned, and it was so disgusting. Like, it was an inch of crud. Like, they just, I don't know, I didn't get it.
All right,
didn't get
so we're at 10. We haven't talked about your dad. Do you want to before we close it out?
Sure, I got that much left.
All right.
What do you want to know?
I know nothing, so whatever you want to share.
Or not enough time. No,
Oh,
this is,
that's where
We can do
I
episode 2.
love-
We can pause it now, and I'll come back and do this again. We can do 2 episodes.
I love Noel C. Painter stories.
What?
I-
What did he
wait.
just say?
I got enough mine to tell. This
What is
story.
Noel
Okay.
C. Painter? What is
So-
that?
That's what,
I don't know what that is.
So my dad died in 2004. but
Okay.
He went on a journey before he died. When I was in the seventh grade, he took me for a walk, and he's like, "I'm not going to live here anymore." And he went on this weird little journey, and that was his midlife crisis. And he went through numerology, and he realized that his name, he was born in Canada, and it was Garth Edward Wallace. And he realized through numerology that his name was not numerically balanced. So he got these reports for all of our names. And I tell people my dad, I love my dad. My dad, like I'm the Haley to Jason, like, you know, the Haley and Jason. I was
Right.
I'm an only child, so there's no other family that I have. Like both my parents are gone. I have no other family. So I was the mini me.
And yes, you do.
Well, I have no
I know, blood
biological
family. I know
family.
what
Like,
you
I have
mean.
my aunt who
But
I've not
I had to
seen.
say that,
Yeah.
so go ahead.
So my dad went through this whole numerology thing, and he had all our names analyzed, and they give you these numerically balanced names, and half of them don't make any sense. You've never heard these names. Well, he picked a name which was Noel C. Painter, Paynter, and C stands
What
for
does
nothing.
C? Yeah. What does
It's
C stand
nothing.
for?
It's just balances the name. So he legally changed.
It's all about symmetry.
Yes. He legally changed his name to Noel C. Painter. So my mom would go, and my parents were very kind of like the Pam and Jason relationship. It's very cordial. Like we always had holidays together, birthdays. We celebrated things together. There was not a lot of friction.
Right.
It was just that's kind of probably where I got it from. Is that why is there friction in a family?
That's why you acclimated to this so well.
Like, why would you have friction in a family?
Yeah.
You're trying to raise children and have if there were no children involved, I probably wouldn't have a reason to, but there's children involved.
And I'm still on good terms with Kristen's mom and her stepdad. Right, exactly.
Right. So we always had family things together, and it was always a family. We just didn't live in the same house together, but he did his own thing. And so what else? What else about my dad?
Well, where was he from?
He was from I want to say Vancouver, BC.
Okay.
But
he was an optometrist.
He was an optometrist, and he went to school in Chicago, and that's where he met my mom. She was a nursing student. He was a optometry student. I think that's how they met.
And then how'd they end up in the Redmond, Seattle area?
They lived in Mukilteo. They moved to Mukilteo when Mukilteo was absolutely nothing. Like, there was nothing there. And he started an optometry business in the University District where, like, UW is. It's on the corner of 45th and Brooklyn where Neptune Theater is.
Yep.
And he had that business, and that was his business. And my mom worked at Providence Hospital in Seattle, and she worked a shift from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. So she was always home with me, and then she would drop me off because it was on the way to work to my dad, and my dad would have me from nighttime and then until my mom got home. And so, like, I never had a daycare. I never knew daycare. In the family that I grew up with next to us, that's my second family, the Anthony family. They joke that they had Kyle because of me. And sadly, like, my mom died July of 21, and their mother was diagnosed with a form of cancer before my mom, but and then their dad had severe dementia, Alzheimer's dementia.
Right.
And he was in a home, and their parents died like within months of each other and just months after mine. So I literally lost my mom, my second mom, and my second dad all within the span of July to January. So it was just like a shitty year.
It was a traumatic year.
It was a horrible period of time for all of us. And so I grew up with that family as my second family, like that. I didn't have brothers and sisters but them. And so I grew up in Mukilteo, and then, the parents separated and whatnot. But yeah, my dad and I had I don't know, how old was I? I was an adult. Like, my ex-husband and I lived together we had a townhouse in Bothell, and he would come because he lived north of us. He would go from Seattle, his job as an optometrist, and come and stop at our house, watch Jag. He loved Jag because he liked the gal in that show. I don't know what her name was. Dark hair.
Oh, you mean the TV series?
Yes,
the TV
series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, God, I know that actress's name.
Yes.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
He liked her.
Yeah.
And so he'd watch that and then go home. And so that was our routine. And then we had a kind of a falling out because my dad...
Catherine something.
Zeta Jones,
No. Catherine.
I know what you're
I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So what's happening with you is what happens with me. But at 3 a.m., you'll get a text from me that'll tell you the answer because it'll pop in my head.
That's exactly what happened.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No. So...
You're so right.
My dad had... It's a super long story, but the nutshell version of it is my dad was somewhat of a conspiracy theorist, but he also... I don't know how to say this nicely. Well, he was somewhat of a conspiracy theorist, and so he didn't have a lot of shit in his name. He put it all in my name. I owned his car.
Oh,
I had
okay.
his lease.
Yeah, that makes
I had
sense.
his bank account. Everything was in my name at this age, which in hindsight is great because it was so much easier to deal with stuff when he died.
Right.
Because anyway, so one day we had kind of a falling out. It was right before Thanksgiving of 2003. 2003. Yeah, 2003. And he was supposed to come to dinner, and he's like, I have the flu, I'm not coming. And I just thought it was an excuse because we had this falling out. And this is where, here's your moral of the story. Don't stay angry with loved ones, because my dad and I did not speak at this period of time. We were not talking. And then Christmas came, and we did not like actually, I take it back. Early January, I'm sitting at work, and I get a call from his boss, who knew me because I had my eyes done. He did my eye exams.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, it's really unusual, but your dad didn't show up for work today." And I'm like, "Oh." So I checked his cell phone because his cell phone was in my name, and there's no activity on his cell phone for days, like maybe even a week.
Okay.
And so I've called around, I've done all my research and everything, and he is an hour from me, so it's not like I can just pop in and see how he's doing. So I call 911 and I said, "Hey, can I get a welfare check?" And they go and they're like, "His car's here." And I'm like, "Okay, he's not been heard from, and there's no activity. Can somebody?" They're like, "We're going to break his window in. You're responsible." That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Well, they said if we didn't get to him within the next half hour, he would have died at his place. So they got him to the hospital, and he had 2 years prior had a heart valve replacement, and the heart valve got infected, and that's why he felt like he had the flu. So he was having mini strokes, and like he was basically in his bed urinating on himself for
So
days.
they broke the window and they
broke the window,
took him to the
found
hospital?
took him to the hospital. He actually had surgery.
I'm so glad. I thought this story was going to end differently.
No,
Okay.
it does. So he was there for like a week and a half in the hospital, and my mom, like dedicated Catholic woman. My mom was diehard Catholic, so she did not want to get divorced. My dad's like, "I don't give a shit because I'm not getting remarried, so I don't care."
Right.
So they lived separately from the time I was in the 7th grade until he died. And so, but my mom paid for his health insurance, and he just gave her money, and because she was still employed as a nurse, and so she was there by his side at the hospital because she's a nurse. That's what she does.
Yeah.
And she stayed with him. Like, she hardly ever left his side. And then he was scheduled for surgery, and they had to shave his chest because they got to go in there. And she recognized the nurse, and she's like, "This guy worked with me, and he was horrible." And she's like, "He's on blood thinners because he's clotting. He's septic. Like, his urine is brown. That's how sick he was." And she's like, he comes at him with a razor, like the wrong way. And she's like, "He's on blood thinners. You can't do that." Like, she knew this nurse, so she
Yeah.
knew better. And they put his room. He couldn't speak because he had so many strokes. He couldn't speak, but he could move around. And they put him right next to the stairs. She's like, "I'm not leaving him." So, she stayed next to him. And so he had his surgery. He did well. Actually, he did better than his first surgery to replace the valve. He still couldn't speak. We tried whiteboards. We tried all these things to get him to communicate. He couldn't communicate. And it's when who was in the hole? Hussein or Bin Laden or somebody was in the hole.
No.
Was in the hole.
In the hole, yeah. And it was he died in 2003. And he would point
right.
to the TV, and he was trying to understand.
No, that was Hussein.
Yeah. And
Oh.
that
was the second invasion of Iraq when they
Yeah.
finally
Yes.
found him. Yeah.
And so he would be in his room, and he could kind of comprehend that piece of it. So my mom, I remember, because I threw the phone out. Like, I got a new phone the next day. The phone rang. My mom calls, freaking out, and she's like, "Your dad is in cardiac arrest. Get here." And so it's 5-something in the morning. Jason and I leave, and a 30-minute drive took us 15 minutes to get there. And we got there, and he's gone. They're like, "He's gone." And they're like, "Do you want to see him?" I'm like, "Nope. I want to remember him how I saw him."
Yeah.
So my dad and I, the last words we had were very hurtful conversation, and we never actually spoke again. And had, like, I knew he knew I was there.
Are you going back to the whole Thanksgiving thing?
Yeah, like,
So that was the last time you maybe formed words with him.
Yeah.
But you
He knew I was
saw
there because,
yes.
yeah, I was on a leave.
So even though you couldn't communicate,
Yeah,
so
he knew I was there. Yeah, but it's one of those.
And I'm sure you
things.
talked to him there.
I talked to him.
Okay.
He could never communicate with me.
But I
at
bet he
all.
heard it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. But so he died, and my mom's like, "What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, you haven't been with this man for years, like, but she, like, still was like diehard, in love,
Yeah.
like Catholic. We're married. I'm like, we'll be fine. And so, he died, and then I got married the year later, and it was funny because he was like, "I don't, it's not that I don't want you to get married, but why are you wasting all this money on a wedding? Like, I'll give you money, but put it towards a house." And I never really understood that concept. And then, funny enough, because I was 30. would have been 30 at the time. 30 at the time, going into 31 when I first got married.
Mhm.
And my ex-husband and I and my mom were, at his place going through his stuff, like trying to clean everything up because we didn't want to have to pay rent on his townhouse again. And so we're trying to clean everything up, get everything moved out. And Jason goes to grab a beer and he's like, this is weird. And he's shaking it and there's no movement. And so he opens it, he plays with it and it screws off. And there's just $100 bills in this thing. And he picks up another one and takes out another thing, $100 bills. And then he takes out another one and there's diamonds and pearls in this thing. And so my dad had these.
That's where he was hiding his.
He was hiding his money.
Wow.
So he had $10,000 in cash, miscellaneous jewelry, shit hidden everywhere. Like we had
diamonds and silver because that was part of his conspiracy
thing,
and
his
his
conspiracy thing.
Y2K is that
Right.
he
You want to have actual valuable
he had
metal.
other sources of
So
commodities.
he had
Yes.
gold pennies, and I shit you not, this was, if you ever think somebody's talking to you from the heavens, this is it. So I'm taking all these pennies and I'm getting ready. He had ammo cans of pennies rolled, and I'm like, let's just take these to the bank. What the hell do we need with all these pennies? I dropped a penny thing, and
Yeah.
it split open.
What was in it?
Silver dimes, pure silver dimes. I paid mine for my whole damn wedding
Oh my god.
with
Pennies
silver
on the ends
of it.
and then
To
silver
protect it,
dimes.
right? So it wasn't
So you
obvious.
couldn't
Yes.
see it,
Oh
so-
my god.
So I was like going into this guy every couple weeks going, how much is this? And he's like, here's $5,000. And so like my mom paid for a lot of the wedding, but
But so did your dad.
so did my dad. And my dad, funny enough, my dad's like, I'm not giving you a bunch of money to spend on a wedding. And I'm like, here
Oh
you
my
go.
burn,
god.
you did.
Yeah, yes.
So he did. But yeah, so my dad died at 63, a really young age, from a heart complication.
Right.
But he went. I'm glad he did go when he went because he never wanted to be. That's why he had heart surgery so early. He never wanted to be hindered by health issues,
Right.
and so that's why he did what he did. And I could never see my dad living in a state of like kind of.
Yeah, he wanted to have a
he
good
wanted an active life. He
health
was an
span,
active-
not a lifespan.
Yeah, he was a
Right. There is a
active guy.
difference.
Like he hiked, he camped, he traveled, he did all sorts of stuff.
What was your dad's name? I
So
think I missed that.
Legally, it was
The
Garth,
real name.
The legal name is Garth
Garth.
Edward Wallace,
Garth.
but
Okay.
he was legally when he died, he was Noel C. Painter. So when you
Your
go,
Right.
mom would never
my
refer-
mom would never call him, and he
never
wouldn't respond.
refer to him as
never
Noel.
respond. Garth,
right.
and everybody does. But he, if he was buried that way because that was his legal name and that's how he wanted to be. But he worked in the Air Force in meteorology, so he got a military burial.
Okay.
So he has the military headstone, and he had
Is
somebody come out.
he
and
also
read
up
trumpets.
there near your mom?
My mom.
I just asked a question. It opened a whole new story.
No, it's funny because they're both on the hill together, but they're kitty corner from each other, so they're like 5 headstones away from each other.
Okay.
And I joked with the cemetery. I'm like, well, they were kind of separated when they
That's
when
actually
they died.
perfect because
so it's perfect.
you
They're
can
not too
visit them
close.
both whenever
I
you
can.
want to.
So we just always look for them. But my mom's church friends, they're like, we looked for your dad, but we couldn't find him because my mom never told them the story about his name
Oh,
change.
Okay.
So
They're
then
looking for Garth.
they're looking for Garth, and I'm like, yeah, well, and so then I had to tell them the story about. They're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, it's an interesting story. It is an interesting.
It's a
story.
great story.
Well, he was definitely ahead of his time. Like he would be if he were now today, he would be in the conspiracy world because he had me for Y2K. He had me prepping. He had me at the Mormon place canning food.
But he would not be a flat earther.
Mm-mm.
No, he's not that crazy.
No, he had guns. He had
Yeah.
food prep. He had money stashed.
Yeah.
He had commodity he had gold, silver. He had.
Which I don't know. That's just good planning.
It is, but
He's planning for every
he
contingency.
is. But you would think people are like, oh, that's a nuts. But he was ready for the.
No,
was
he's
ready.
not nuts. He's just planning ahead.
But yeah, so now we have all these guns, and like when Jerry died, Jason's like, I know my dad has this ruby ring and a gun, and we tore that place up like you would not believe. And then one day, I was looking at the bed in his room, and I was trying to do something. I don't know what it was, and I look over, and I pulled on the nightstand, and the nightstand popped open, and it was like not a drawer that looked like a drawer, and it popped open.
But it was a drawer.
It was a drawer,
And there was a gun in there?
the jewelry and the gun. Exactly what Jason. I'm like, people are like, "Are you too stupid? Like, you can't find this?"
No,
And,
but
like,
he
they
kept
helped
it
you.
hidden on
Yeah,
purpose.
He kept it hidden, but it was funny. We found it. So, I mean, yeah. So that was my dad.
All right, we are going to wrap this up because I know you have to work. And I would love to do this again with you. So in closing, I do, and I appreciate your time. This was important to me. There was a reason I wanted to talk to you guys, because you guys are, you're important to me. And I also, obviously, since I've been involved in your kids' lives, I'm going to say kids with an S because they are your kids too. But yeah, the whole goal was I'm going to record, this is going to be on YouTube or whatever, but I can obviously pass this on to your kids and they're going to be able to listen to it and they're going to be able to have their grandkids. Because something tells me that Haley and Alex are going to have kids pretty soon.
Really? No.
So, just shocker. But when when their kids are old enough to watch this stuff, I think they're going to appreciate it. So I do seriously appreciate your time. And you guys have always been so amazing to me. Yeah. So I'm going to stop talking before I tear up.
Well,
but if there is anything you guys want to say in closing, feel free.
There is something I want to say in
Oh,
closing.
shit. I was afraid of that.
Yeah, I'm a talker.
Friggin' grin.
So, because we know about it, you'll hear about it. We're going to toast. Let's toast
Oh, yeah.
to the
Alright.
new news that you're going to hear about shortly.
Oh, shit. I can't wait.
Nobody's pregnant yet that we know of.
No, I was pretty confident that I would have heard about that soon, but
maybe
okay.
if they watch it, congratulations to Alex and Steven who just bought a house tonight.
Oh! Cheers. So that is actually a great way to end it. I knew they were looking. I knew they had some interest. But no, you're telling me right now. So let's document it. This is Tuesday, May 2nd at 10:19 p.m. I just found out that Alex and Steven have a house.
Yeah.
So they're literally. Now, do we have to go through the 30 days of dealing with closing, or is it for sure their house?
The end of the month.
We're going to
They
jam
move
pack
in.
May as much as we can. We're
Yeah.
going to have a wedding and a move.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else going on this month, right,
why
Haley?
not? May is
Sorry,
gonna be
Haley,
like the
not trying to see your
Fisting
thunder.
of the months of the year.
So let's give a
all
shout out to
done.
Haley and Steven. They are also getting married in 3 weeks. Gosh, we weren't trying to see your thunder. And I'm making your gosh damn cocktails. So,
We got the supplies, so
So we're
we
gonna
did our
help
part.
make the cocktails.
but the adults are going to take care of this. So cheers to all the kids, Brady, Haley, Alex. Cheers to everybody we talked about. Eventually,
You show your
I'm not
belly.
gonna.
there.
I don't want to put pressure on Pam. I have been begging for her to be on my podcast for at least a year, but eventually we're gonna get Pam here so the four of us can do another one.
Oh, that would be fun.
That would be amazing. That's gonna happen. She's obviously been working her ass off, 3 jobs right now, so I understand she doesn't have time for it. And it does take just a little bit, just that much of mental capacity to deal with the 3 of us. So I kind of understand. I kind of understand why she's like, gosh, I just let me be rested before we have to do this shit.
You know what I want to see? Can you make it happen so the 2 of them are sitting over here and talking about their like growing up as young parents?
Oh,
I would
God.
love to see that. I'd love to hear
We
that.
will cover that material. The seating arrangement really doesn't matter, but we'll cover that material.
After
and-
watching those 2 dance at Alex's wedding, it was hilarious to me. I'm like, it was so cute. Like
It was
wouldn't you-
precious.
It was.
It was
Wouldn't
very
you like To see your
precious.
parents like come
Yes,
together like that.
absolutely.
Some people didn't like it, but I was like, that's a memory.
No, it was awesome. That was super precious. All right, we
All
are
right.
closing it down. And it's not. It is not because Jason has to work tomorrow. It's because I woke up at 5:30 this morning and I'm friggin' tired, so I have to go home.
5
And I know.
whole
I know.
You just leave your
Jay-
microphones and we'll
30.
talk. All
Jason
night
is
long.
like 5:30. I'm like, well, that's early for me. I normally don't have to be working until 10:30. But yes, you guys were awesome, and seriously, thank you for the time. I'm gonna hit pause, and then we can have our little teary moment after the camera's off.